Hi, and welcome to the Breakthrough Emotional Eating podcast. My name is Kristen Jones, and thank you so much for joining me this week. One of the things that I have bad news for you all. I'm just gonna lay it out for you. One of the things that I think holds most people up, myself and very much myself included, when it comes to moving forward, when it comes to reaching a goal, or even sometimes even striving for a goal, but we just come across things in our lives, in everyday life, that we frankly just don't want to do. And I am not going to, this podcast is not going to be about how you just think positive thoughts about this horrible thing that you don't want to do, or this thing. It might not even be horrible. Somebody else might find it to be nothing, but to you, it's something you don't want to do. I'm not going to ask you to change and decide that, like, oh, I'm going to have super happy rainbow and unicorn feelings about this thing, whatever it is. Because that's just denying how you really feel. But when you think about it, all of our lives, we are always, in every day, every moment of every day, we're going to come across things that we just don't want to do, but we have to do them. And I know you might think, well, do we really have to do them? Well, if you want to get someplace, yeah, you do. There are things that you do have to do. And, or there are consequences that are going to hold your life up. And one of the things that I asked in the group earlier this week, and I asked on my personal profile and in our Breakthrough Emotional Eating Facebook group, which, by the way, if you're not on there, you need to get on there, www.facebook.com/groups/food breakthrough. All sorts of free resources. We hit you with tons of free resources when you come in, and then you get a free course, and it's just all sorts of fun. So make sure that you that if you are listening and you're like, I don't know about this Facebook group, yeah, come and check it out. Okay, you're not locked in. If you come in and it's not your thing, that's totally cool, but at least come and try it. So one of the things that really, when we think about it, and we think about this is in life in general, I put up a question of how many people, asked people to raise their hand if they had ever not wanted to go to work, but they went anyway. And everybody was like, well, of course, like, yeah, of course. How many times, sometimes, people would say, like, how many times a week do I not want to go to work? Sometimes the feeling of not wanting to go to work is telling us that that's not the job for us. But at other times, you may love your job, but there are going to come days where you're like, I just don't want to go. I don't want to go. There's something that's happened. There's some reason. But we do it anyway. We just do it anyway. And we do it because there is that long-term carrot, that long-term reward that you get. And you're able to, frankly, suck it up. You're able to suck up the discomfort that you feel and the unhappiness that you feel in the moment, because you know that long-term result, getting a paycheck, is what you want. Well, I'm going to tell you, the same thing exists when anytime we're reaching any goal. And for our purposes, we're going to talk about it in connection with weight loss. You are always, regardless of what kind of program you're doing, what how wonderful it is, how wonderful your coach is, how wonderful your community is, there are going to be days that you're going to wake up and you're going to be like, I don't want to do this. We've been talking about it in the membership group. We want to take a break, and you just want to take a break. And that is absolutely, you're going to feel that way. But like in life, if you want that long-term goal, that long-term result, it has to be a mind over matter decision that I am going to do this anyway, because I know it's in my best interest. But in the moment, that sucks. It's hard. That is really, really hard. So I want to talk to you today about how you position yourself, and really, how you're able to get comfortable with the fact that this is going to happen in so many aspects of your life. But for right now, we're going to talk about it in relationship to weight loss. And it's going to happen probably pretty frequently. And if you don't get a handle on how you're going to address it and deal with it, it is going to be the same show over and over and over again. It's going to be 3 steps forward and 2 steps back, and then 5 steps forward and then 1 step back. And it's just going to be that constant repeating theme, and you're not going to get anywhere. And then what's going to happen is you're going to say, oh, this doesn't work. This doesn't work. This is stupid. This doesn't work. I'm just not going to do anything. Then you're right back where you started, or you're right back where you started with 10 more pounds on you. I don't want that for you. So as we talk about in this group, we are a little different. And as we talk about in this group, and I talk about in the podcast, this isn't this isn't at all. Weight loss is not at all about what you're putting in your mouth and what you're eating. It's all about the why behind it. It's all about the thoughts and the beliefs and everything that comes before you decide that you're going to eat something. Because all of that and all of that's what we need to be addressing, is those thoughts, those feelings, those beliefs that lead to the actions that in a lot of cases don't serve you and whatever your long-term goal is. So we're going to break that down today, and I'm going to give you some very tangible strategies that you can use moving forward for when you come across those circumstances where you're just like, nah, I don't want to do this anymore. This isn't fun anymore. And fun actually is part of it. All right. So why do we come across these things in our lives that we don't want to do? Why do we come across them? What are they, and what are the reasons behind why we don't want to do certain things? Well, a lot of times, frankly, we're just not good at them. Literally, we're not good at them. But sometimes things are put in front of us that we have to do, and we're just not very good at it. So that could be the first thing. Could be that we're legit not good at it. Second reason could very likely be that we just don't think we're good at them, or someone else has told us that we're not good at doing something, and we believe them. Another thing that will come in right behind that is past failure. And so when you have had experience trying to do meal planning, or trying to prep food ahead of time, or trying to drink all your water, or trying to go 4 hours between meals, and you haven't been successful, that's what keeps coming back. And that's what you're choosing. Those thoughts come into your head and you entertain them, and you're like, come on in. That feels good. It doesn't feel good, but it's familiar. And it becomes then your excuse for, well, I don't want to do it again. That's too hard, because I have proof, and I'm going to go with that proof, because then I don't have to try again. And then that makes things much easier for me. I don't get what I want, but now I have an excuse, and now I don't have to do anything. Woo, that's a party right there. So when those thoughts come in, and those past thoughts come in, that's when we have to have some strategies, and we'll be talking about those. I love when I write notes and I can't read them. You always have to remember that you can, when you're presented with something, you get the choice to think about something positively or negatively. And I'm not asking, again, I said before, I'm not asking you to completely, make stuff up and make it like, oh, this is fabulous. I'm so happy to do this. I'm so happy to take the garbage out. That is such a good time. I so like doing that. No, I'm not asking you to do that, but I am asking you to reconsider the path that you're going down. Gabriella, she sent me an email, and she said, your thoughts are like, I thought this was so brilliant. Your thoughts are like a crossroads, and you always have the opportunity to, which path am I going to go down? Am I going to follow the path that's negative, and that will lead me down, or I'm going to take the path that's more positive? It doesn't mean that I'm going to be lying to myself, but I'm going to at least be heading in a direction that is a little bit more hopeful, and one that I can kind of wrap my head around and move in that positive direction. So you always have that choice. the other reason why people don't want to do things is they only will see the short-term discomfort, and they can't, that is so uncomfortable. That discomfort is so uncomfortable that they're not able to see the long term and the result that they actually want. It just seems too far away. It just seems, it's in the moment. It is so hard for them to even, that short-term discomfort and pain is just too much to be able to work through that to get to the long-term goal. And that's one of the things, I think that is one of the things that we talk so much about at length, in depth in the membership, is the whole idea of life is not about avoiding discomfort. It is about leaning into it, and it is about facing up to it and owning, this makes me uncomfortable. I have noticed in the last, anyone in my life who's been around me in the last, I don't know, 24, 48 hours, I have been very upfront about, like, I am very uncomfortable with this, and this, whatever's, there's some things happening in my life that I'm very uncomfortable with. And I'm very much owning it. I'm not going to pretend. I'm not going to say, no, it really doesn't bother me. No, it does. It does bother me. And so that in and of itself, just owning it is like, huh, that feels better. That takes the pressure off, because at least I'm stepping up to it, and I'm like, okay, and I'm going to lean into it, and I'm going to just work through it, which I have. And so it's gotten a lot better. It's gotten a lot easier. But it's when we're faced with that discomfort, we have the choice, we have the option. We can run away from it, we can distract from it. And that's where, when it comes to losing weight, that's where, when you're following, when you're following a program or you're following a plan, that's where you end up when things get uncomfortable and people don't want to do things that aren't comfortable for them. That's when they choose, okay, I want to distract myself. And that distraction 9 times out of 10 becomes a binge, and becomes let me just distract myself with food because I don't like what's going on over here. This is making me uncomfortable and I don't want to do it. And so that is, it's very, it's something, it's going to happen. It's going to happen to everybody. And whether it's with the course of losing weight, or it's just in the course of your life, of having your job, of being in a relationship, there are just times in relationships that things are uncomfortable, that you're not happy. But we do things anyway, and we push through it, because we know that momentary discomfort is that it's momentary, and we can move through it. We can ride it out, and then we can get to that result that we're looking for. All right. So what do we do? Because we all know we're going to come in contact with, this is inevitable. This is just part of life. Another part of life that we need to make sure everybody's clear with, and I talk about this all the time, is the whole concept of that life is 50-50. It is 50% positive, 50% negative. So the fact that there are times that, people don't want to go to work, or they don't want to follow their meal plan, or they don't want to write their meal plan down, or they don't want to drink all their water. Like, if it's 50% of the time we're supposed to have negative emotions, yeah, I can totally, you should expect that to happen. You probably should expect it to happen at least once a day. But so now that we know, I think that's the first piece, is normalizing it and realizing it's going to happen. Don't use it as an excuse, but recognize that it is a normal reaction. It is normal for your brain to go there. It is normal for you to have those thoughts. You have that first thought, you get to choose the second thought. The first thought is always your brain. The second thought is yours. You get to decide, do I want to go along with what my brain is telling me, or do I say no? Do I push back and rebut on that? So that's kind of the first thing, is one, we have to anticipate and know that these kinds of things are going to happen. We're going to run into things that are going to make us uncomfortable, and we're not going to want to do them. And so when we come across and we come up against that resistance, the fact that we're going to be able to be like, oh, I know, here it is. Here's my 50%. Here is my discomfort. And I knew it was coming. I'm not going to be angry. I'm not going to be upset about it. Yeah, it's pretty uncomfortable, but at least at least you're prepared. So now you can anticipate it, and it's when we pretend like, oh no, everything's going to be fabulous. That's when we end up getting knocked upside the head. So that it's really important to make sure that you are aware that this is, we need to normalize it. But then we need to say, I'm going to normalize it, but I'm not using it as an excuse. And I'm going to have a plan. So that really is the main piece, is that you know that throughout your day, throughout a journey, throughout any sort of, whether it be weight loss, whether it be any kind of goal that you're seeking, you're going to come across times where you're just not going to want to do things. And you're going to need to push through, or you're going to keep doing that back and forth dance, which gets you nowhere. So you need to have an action plan. And an action plan, I think sometimes an action plan, people think like, okay, so what am I going to do? I'm going to do this and this and this and this. And I say, hold on a second. We're getting way ahead of ourselves, because as I talk about this all the time. Your actions are not just something that you do. Your actions are created by feelings that you have. Feelings always drive actions, always. And your feelings don't just come out of thin air, and they don't come from other people. Your feelings don't come because somebody says something to you or somebody tells you to do something. That's not where your feelings come from. Your feelings come from your own thoughts. So if we're going to talk about making an action plan, we have to back up and think, okay, what are the thoughts that I need to be thinking when I come up against one of these obstacles, these jobs, these things, these events that I don't want to do, but I know I need to do them, but I just don't want to. And it would be so much easier to just give in. So much easier just to have the cookie and not walk away from the pantry. Be so much easier. Be so much easier just to give in. But how do we, in those moments, decide, nope, I'm not going to do that? And that's what we're going to talk about now. So that action plan has to have its basis in your thoughts. Has to have its basis in your thoughts. So the first thing is, again, we're prepared. We know, we've anticipated, and we know these things are going to happen. So when it does, we're going to prepare thoughts that remind us of why we're even doing this thing. Why are we even trying? Why do we even have a job? What is the reason? Why do I need a paycheck? What's the reasoning behind that? Why do I want to lose weight? What is the thing that's going to drive me to want to keep doing this? What are those things? Because when you first start, you have all sorts of whys, and we oftentimes start forgetting them. So your why of why you need to have a job, why you need to get that paycheck, why you want to lose weight, why you want to, feel good in a bathing suit, all of those things, they need to be at the front of your brain. They need to be at the front of your thoughts. Those have to be there. And so you have those thoughts. That's the first step. You have to prepare and have your thoughts. Okay, when this comes up, what am I going to be thinking? Not just jumping to the action. What do I need to be thinking about my why, about why I even want to do this? Second thing, we have to remind ourselves exactly what I said just a minute ago, that the short-term discomfort so overrides and is so worth the long-term goal that we're seeking. That short-term, whatever it is, a shift at work, a 5 minutes, writing your plan down, writing your planner out, any of those things, those little tiny things that we have to do in order to lose weight. And I will tell you all, if you haven't realized, losing weight is not about big stuff. It's about all the little things. It's about all the little tiny little minutiae that we want to think, it doesn't really matter. No, it does. It does matter. It's all the little small things. So when we don't want to do those little small things, we are sabotaging ourselves. And so that's what I want for you. I want to make sure that you are understanding that it's the little things that do matter. And so recognizing it and reminding yourself, yeah, this short term, this little, whatever it is, if it's a 4-hour shift, if it's, talking to your boss, if it's, preparing a healthy meal for yourself, all of those things, any of that discomfort is so minimal compared to the amazing things that are waiting for you when on the other side, when you reach your goal, you have your success. Third thing, remind yourself of previous times that you have done things that you didn't want to do. We have all done a lot of things that we didn't want to do. Go to school, sit in the classroom, do homework, get up and go to work, make breakfast for somebody else, all sorts of things. We've all done many, many, many things that we did not want to do, but we overcame, we persevered, and we did it. And so you remind yourself, I've done all these other things. I so can do this one thing. I can push through and I can do this thing, because each time you push through the discomfort and you don't let the discomfort sideline you or stop you, you're telling your brain, bring it. I can handle any discomfort. And your brain starts to realize, oh, she's not quite such a pushover. He's not quite such a pushover. I really do need to respect when they say they're going to do something and they actually are going to do it. They said they were going to do this, but they had the discomfort and they did it anyway. Will build up lots of respect from your brain. And I know that sounds really, really weird when you think like, oh my gosh, you're sounding like your brain is a separate entity. It is. So make sure that you remember that you're trying to establish more successes, more previous times, more things that you can draw back to and say, oh yeah, I did it that time. I did it then. I can do it now. I can do anything. And I could do anything for a certain amount of time. So remind yourself of that, of those previous times when you've done things that you didn't want to do. All right. Let's see. Tell yourself that this is a great one. Tell yourself, this is, again, I wrote something and I cannot read it. Tell yourself that you are only going to do half of what you are supposed to do. Just tell yourself that, like, I'm just going to do half. And I have to tell y'all, I do this all the time. When I get on my treadmill and I get on a class, and it's a 30-minute class, I'm always like, just get to 20 minutes, and then you can get off, and I get to 20 minutes and I never get off. I'm always like, nope, you've come this far. You only have 10 minutes left. You can do it. But it's because I break it down and I tell myself, no, just get to halfway. Just get to halfway and we'll be cool. We'll be cool if you want to go then. And inevitably the instructor says something like, and this is one that kills me, and this is true. How you do one thing is how you do everything. So when you give up on yourself in one situation, you give up on yourself in other situations. And the same thing happens here. When we can't push through and we can't do the hard stuff in one area, we can't do it in another area. And that really can hold us back, again, from being successful, from having what we want to have and what we believe we want to have in our lives and what we deserve in our lives. So that is, again, making sure that you put yourself in a position of just saying, I'm just going to do half of it. And then inevitably, and you may only do half, and that's okay. But then next time you'll do a little bit more and a little bit more. So you can always try and cut it in half. Last thing, there is always, not all situations are good, but there is good in every situation. And sometimes you have to dig really deep to find it, but that would be one of your, when you're presented with something that you don't want to do, try your best, because there is always something good that can come out of it, either for you, for someone else, but you have to be able to open your mind to, I can find something good here. I can find something good, and that can take me and let me do this thing that I don't want to do for just a few more minutes, for just an hour, for just a shift, for just 5 minutes that I have to write my planner out. There's something good that's coming from this, and I can find it. I can find what the good is. We have to find the good in whatever we're presented with, especially these things that we don't want to do. And there's, and again, we're all going to have these situations in our lives that we're going to be presented with. And you get to decide. How do you want to go about doing this? What are the thoughts you want to have? What are the thoughts you want to tell yourself? And then how do you want to show up, not only for yourself, but show up for your brain and tell your brain, you know what, I'm doing hard things now. I'm going to push through. I'm going to do this. Because each time you do that, it gets easier and easier because you start to realize, oh, there's nothing I can't do. There's nothing I can't do. I equate it to when and I haven't run one in a really long time. I can't even remember how long it's been. I used to regularly run marathons, and every time I would get to like mile 20, and I would promise myself, you are never doing this again. You're never doing this again. This is the hardest thing. I don't know. Why are we here? Sometimes it's like mile 12 and I'm like, why am I here? This is so awful. This is so hard. And I have to just remind myself, you can do hard things. You can do things you don't want to do. And it's just one step at a time, just push through. And if you can get through this, we don't ever have to do it again. But at least you're going to finish it. At least you're going to finish and you're going to follow through on what you say you're going to do. And so each time I would finish, and it would be so uncomfortable and it would be so hard, but I would do it. And then inevitably I'd end up doing another one. And then I'd do another one. And then I'd do another one. But it was not but all of these things, I was remembering my why. Why did I want to do this? Why was this important to me? Why was this something that I needed to do? And each time I pushed myself and did something I didn't want to do, again, that would just be continuing to run the race. I got stronger internally. I got more belief. I was able to cultivate and have more belief in myself that there was nothing that I couldn't do. And the same thing is for you. When you are able to push past that discomfort, and all it is discomfort, and discomfort is merely a vibration in your body. It is not going to kill you. Nothing bad's going to happen to you. But if you can push through that and you can complete whatever it is that you need to do, the resolve and the confidence that you will build within yourself, not anybody else, only from you, will take you so far in your life. I mean, like further than anyone else telling you can do something. When you can do it and you can prove to yourself that you can push through that discomfort and do it, that nothing else compares to that. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. You have done it and you have been successful. So there you have it. Doing things we don't want to do, part of life. But the sooner you come up with your game plan of what are the thoughts I'm going to have, what are the thoughts and the feelings, and then the actions that I'm going to take to make sure that I can push through and do these things anyway. Once you get that dialed in, there is nothing that will stop you. You will literally be unstoppable, because you will have the steps and the keys and all the things you need in order to be ultra, ultra successful in your own life. All right, y'all. I hope that everyone really takes this to heart and recognizes that this is just part of life. And it's one of those things that nobody escapes from. And so if you can start to anticipate and think about these things, you're going to be so far ahead in your own development and in your own striving and your own working towards the goals that you want to achieve. So I hope that helps someone out there. I hope that was really helpful. And again, www.facebook.com/groups/food breakthrough. Come join the group. And again, we got lots of free stuff for you, a free course inside the membership. So please make sure that you come over and join us, and have a wonderful rest of your day. And I will see you all next week. All right. Take care, everybody. Bye.